What are the telltale signs of a good immigration attorney, or attorney for that matter? And how do I go about finding a good attorney? These are some of the questions that were posed, which we'll address in this video. Hi, I'm Attorney Pandeli, and I'm a U.S. immigration attorney. But apart from that, I've also started and ran a number of businesses, including technology companies. And so I've had the workings on both the legal side and the business side. And so what makes a good attorney is a multifaceted question. And what makes a good attorney is really a multifaceted analysis. And so on the one side, you have how good is the attorney at their craft. And so that's specifically at knowing the law and knowing the procedure and how to apply different things, right? And so what's important in that particular context is that the attorney has done, not only is the attorney focusing on the area of law, such as, for example, immigration law or criminal law or what have you, but in addition to that, that attorney has direct history and experience with your type of case. He might not be exactly like your case because no two cases are alike, but it needs to be close enough, and they've done quite a few of those types of cases, and that really helps because through various cases, what happens is you look at different facets and you look at how the law applies, because the law applies differently typically, and it's very nuanced. And so, for example, in one case you might have, there's this set of facts, and then the law applies this way, and in this set of facts, the law, although the law is the same, it might be applied differently because of, let's say, there's a different precedent, or there are different cases which have come down from the Supreme Court, or let's say an immigration court or what have you, which dictate how that type of case should be litigated or should be processed. And so, again, on the doing law side, you have the attorney's ability to know the law and the procedure around the law. Because a lot of the problems that come up is really, does the attorney know the proper procedure? Do they know how to file the forms? Do they know where to go? Do they know where to get the requisite documents, right? And so this is strictly on practicing law. But what we found out looking at 15,000 reviews is that this might not necessarily be the only issue with finding a good attorney. There's a number of areas which really don't have a lot to do with whether the attorney is good at knowing the law or the procedure. And so when we looked at these reviews, there were a number of buckets that the bad reviews came under. So what we really did was we looked at all the bad reviews and what do they say? What did they say? And what was the reason for them writing a bad review of a particular attorney? And so we looked at immigration attorney, and we looked at immigration attorneys, and we looked at also at other specialties. And what we found is that, so virtually, the reviews were typically into two different categories. And that mattered in terms of where the people were in the process. And so there were people in the process that they hadn't quite hired the attorney yet, or they were looking for a consultation. And so in that respect, the people couldn't really speak about the results of their case or what the attorney did for them. But what they could speak to is the overall professionalism of the attorney. And so the things that they said were, they're rude, they didn't communicate properly, all they wanted was the money, their office was disorganized, they were late, they didn't communicate the way that they should have, or treated them with respect. And so this is on the really pre-hiring process of an attorney. And so if you're dealing with, having to hire an attorney and you're going through some people, and what you're really seeing is some of these telltale signs, well, there's a saying which is, how you do one thing is how you do anything. And so if the office and the attorney is responding to you in a certain way from the very beginning, and they're either rude, or they're short with you, or they're late with you, or they don't communicate properly, or they look disorganized, well, guess what? The rest of the case will be more of the same. And so this is in the pre-hiring area. Now, on the flip side, there was a large group of people which wrote bad reviews, and those were people that had gotten a result, and the result was negative. And so when the attorney got them bad results, they turned around and they looked at all the different places where the attorneys had not done a good job or the attorneys had fallen short. And these areas were things like they didn't have knowledge of the law, which we discussed early on. They didn't have knowledge of the law. Other issues were things like, again, they didn't communicate properly. They were late in terms of filings. They lost their case or they lost their file. Different people started working on the case. Like, for example, one paralegal was working on the case or one attorney was working on the case, and then they changed it and they gave it to somebody else, and then the client was really lost in the process or lost in the translation there. There are other considerations, like, for example, let me just pull it up again here. There were money issues. So a lot of money issues. In fact, one of the reviewers said they're really nice to you till they get your money, and then you will never hear from them again. And so poor communication and reaching back to clients is an area that a lot of people mention. And so when you look at both sides and these reviews, the generality of these reviews, you just get a good sense of what type of attorney you're dealing with. And the way to think about it, the way to really think about it is that attorneys are people, and on the one side they have the art of the law and being an attorney and what it takes on the procedural and on the legal side, what they need to know. But also there's the business side. Are they people of integrity? Do they, and we define integrity in terms of, do they do what they said they would do and when they said they would do it? And then do they communicate with you? Are they in communication with you to let you know what's going on? And not just after the fact, but beforehand. Do they foreshadow what's coming up? Like telling you exactly, hey, listen, this is the blueprint and this is what you should expect. So these are some of the things that we think are important for attorneys. Not just their name, although that could help, because sometimes getting a good name out there, there's a reason why someone has a good name out there. Although please note that there are also fake reviews, and there are also different ways to for attorneys or anyone really for that matter to game the system. And so on a general sense, listen to your gut feeling. If your gut feeling tells you something weird is going on about your attorney or the law firm or the way that they're dealing with you at the very beginning, listen to it, because you might not be wrong. Thank you for listening. I'm Attorney Pandeli with Attorney LLC.